Hey everyone, this is Crystal, and today I'm working in my Life Crafted album. I have a photo all the way back from July that I'm going to be documenting today. I've pulled out a few papers, and I also have one of the cut files. It's in pieces. I've already pulled it off of my mat, but I've saved all the little interior bits so I can fit in those little pieces that go inside these three letters. I also have a sheet of vellum that I thought I might put behind this. I was thinking of using it kind of in between the two pages, but I'm not entirely sure yet if that's what I want to do or not. So I am just going to put you on fast forward and play around and see what I come up with. So before I get started, I just want to let you know that the first couple minutes of this footage are a bit fuzzy, and I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think maybe my lens was dirty, but it does fix itself here in just a couple minutes when I shut the camera off to do some fussy cutting. So you don't have to watch this entire video fuzzy, but just the first couple minutes are like this. So I pretty quickly changed my mind about using this as a divider between my pages. I really liked the way that it looked on that dark teal paper, so I decided to back that cut file with that dark teal paper, and I'm just going to cut off that top piece. So it has the strip at the top that's meant to be able to go into the album, like you can punch holes in that and then it can go directly into the album, but I'm just going to cut that off. So just very carefully, I'm going to trim around the edges to try and get the edges even with the rest of the cut file, and really easy to do. Very easy to manipulate these cut files even after you've gotten them cut out. And then I'm just going to glue it down to this teal paper. And to do that, I'm going to use a glue pen. My glue pen is nearly dry. It's nearly empty. So I struggled a little bit to get it to work and add enough glue to this cut file so that it would stick to this paper. The other thing about this glue pen is that the glue dries pretty quickly. So you have to work kind of fast to get it onto the cut file and then get the cut file onto the paper before the glue kind of dries. So trying to work fast, trying to get as much glue out of this thing as I can squeeze out still and get enough of this cut file covered that it will stick to that paper. The other issue I had is that the paper is just slightly smaller than the cut file. And when I laid it down, I wasn't paying attention, I guess. I just was not realizing that I would have to piece a little bit of this. So I stuck it down and then realized, oh no, I'm going to have to piece that last bit. So I have to peel up the edge of the Y, and I fuss with it a bit to try and get it so that I can cut away that piece by the A and use it to kind of move it down and cover the rest of the Y. I didn't want to have to cut into the other half of this paper because I knew I wanted to use it on the other side of my spread. So I was trying to conserve paper here and trying to get it to work. Eventually it does. Eventually it turns out just fine. And in the end, you can barely notice that I had to piece it, but it took me a little bit of messing with it to get it to actually work. And you can see there's still a little bit of the Y, but I just use a piece that I cut off here while I'm fussy cutting around the edge of this cut file to piece that together. And once again, you can't really tell that, unless you're looking for it, you can't really tell that I had to piece that Y together. Okay, so I'm just going to very carefully cut around the edge of this cut file. For large blocky cut files like this, I find that's the best way. That's the easiest way for me to back them up with pattern paper. And then I'm just going to cut another piece of that teal paper to go on the other side. So I did make you watch me fussy cut all of that. I used the interior parts of the letters to make sure I spaced those interior bits of the O and D and A. I used the kind of offcuts of them to space those right. Still just used my glue pen to glue those down. So easy peasy. It didn't take very long at all. So now I'm just figuring out how I want the rest of this layout to kind of come together. And I started with this lemon paper, and because I'm working on a July, like a summary layout, the lemons seem to work. They don't really have anything to do with the subject of my page or with my journaling or the story or anything, but it's July and summer lemons, I don't know, it worked in my mind. Plus I liked the colors, so that's really what I was going for here. Okay, so I tore a piece of that lemon paper to go behind my Today cut file on the left-hand side, and then I cut another piece on to use on the right hand side, and I will end up tearing that one as well. You can see I trimmed off a little bit. It was looking just a little too wide to me. You were losing a lot of that torn edge, and I wanted it to peek out kind of above the cut file there. So I just made it a bit smaller, and then tore the side or the piece that I'm going to use on the right side as well. I backed my photo with the yellow paper from the kit, and yeah, now I'm just going to go through the ephemera. So this is the November Life Crafted kit, if I haven't already mentioned that. I don't remember if I said that in the beginning, but all of these pieces are from the November Legendary Life Crafted kit. I'm looking for that noteworthy die cut that's in this ephemera pack. And it was in 3 pieces, so I had to kind of search through to find all 3 pieces. But I wanted that to go below my today title because I wanted to add some black to this. It was looking just a little too, I don't know, light an area, and it needed some grounding. So I added that black noteworthy there below my title. And then I also added a die cut that was yellow that said, "Oh My Days," in black, and I added that to the other side. That's going to tie in the black from the left hand side over on the right hand side. I added some florals, just trying to stick to that same color scheme of the teal and yellow and kind of lighter blue color. I did pull out a few other things. I have a couple other little floral pieces. I have a couple of those kind of cross hatch things. I don't know what they are. They're little X's in multicolors. I'm looking through the rest of the embellishments from this kit as well, including the cut apart pieces. This is the cut apart sheet that you get for free as a subscriber. You can also purchase it in the shop. And I did pull out a couple things that were just absolutely perfect for this page from here. So that little banner that has the same yellow flower, the same teal color, and it says love. I'm going to use that at the top of my photo just to create just a tiny little cluster there. I thought about adding some stamping, but I don't end up doing that. I decide to just keep this really simple and really plain, and just use the die cuts and cut file. So I'm just playing around with these leaves. The leaves kind of bend in different directions, so I'm being very picky about which way I want the leaves to go. I realized my flower was upside down as well, so I had to change that. Nothing is glued down to the page at this point, so I'm still just fussing and messing around and trying to figure out how I want this whole thing to look before I actually commit to anything. I'm thinking I want my journaling to go below this noteworthy die cut. I just want to write a couple lines. I don't have anything crazy to include, but so I thought that would be enough space for me to just write a couple of lines there. I was thinking at this point that I would type it, so I thought I would type it directly onto the cardstock that I've used as my background. But I've used a really heavy cardstock here, and I didn't realize that it wouldn't go through my typewriter. So I end up just typing up 3 lines of journaling on some just copy paper. It's just scratch paper that I had lying around, and I'm going to trim those down and layer them there. I made a little pencil mark below where the noteworthy sat so that when I ran it through my typewriter, I'd be able to see where the journaling needed to go. But that was still pretty helpful because it let me place these strips of journaling without having to add everything else back to the layout first. So I just erased that line there when I'm adding this last piece, and everything will line up perfectly in the end. So now that I have my journaling on, I can finally start actually gluing things down and getting this page put together. Overall, it did not take me very long to create this page. It came together really quickly. The longest part was obviously backing that cut file, and even that didn't take me long at all. So really easy page to put together, even though there's quite a few elements here, quite a few things going on. It still was not difficult to do. So I'm going to use that same glue pen to add the noteworthy die cut, just because it's got some pretty thin lines, and I didn't want there to be adhesive. If I had used my tape runner, there would have been some kind of adhesive residue around the outside that would have potentially stuck my pages together, and I didn't want that to happen. So just using the glue pen, since I already had it out on my desk, and just gluing down each of the 3 pieces of this word individually and trying to space them correctly and get them in the right place. I wanted the ascenders of the T's to kind of overlap the die cut, the T's and the H, to overlap the die cut a bit, and then I wanted the descender of the Y to kind of wrap around my journaling, and it worked out perfectly. So glad I got that spacing just right. And then I can work on the other side. So I'm just gluing these two pieces of paper together to get the spacing of those right before adding them to my page. And then I can add my photo as well. I'm not adding any dimension to my photo. I will add just a tiny bit of dimension to one of the die cuts that I add, but I didn't want to go overboard. My album is getting pretty chunky already. I have been very liberal with the dimension in it so far, and I thought I might want to tone it down just a little bit in the last few pages I have to do. I have two Lifecrafted albums for 2020, and this is going to be towards the end of the first one. So needed to kind of keep the dimension under control a little bit. So there I'm just adding a little bit of foam tape behind that Oh My Days die cut. And then I will stick it there on top of the flower. And then I'm going to add that banner. And I also add a little yellow label at the top of my photo just to give me a place to stamp the date, which I will stamp here in a second. And then off camera, I do add just a tiny cluster next to my title, next to the word noteworthy. I use one of those die cut flowers and a puffy heart from the puffy hearts that were in the Life Crafted kit. And then that's it for the spread. So really simple, but I really love how it turned out, and I'm really happy to have this very simple story documented for this year. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We would love to have you here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you back here soon.